The room was a hive of activity, filled with the clamor of voices, the shuffle of papers, and the palpable tension that seemed to hang in the air like a heavy fog. Alexander Hamilton, ever the embodiment of energy and ambition, stood at the center of it all. His sharp eyes darted from one corner of the room to another, taking in the men who surrounded him, his colleagues, his rivals, his adversaries. The discussions were heated, with opinions clashing like swords in battle, each man striving to make his voice heard above the din. This was the world Hamilton knew all too well, a world of conflict, competition, and the relentless pursuit of power. It was a world that could be perfectly captured by the Five of Wands, a tarot card that symbolized the very essence of struggle and strife. In this moment, Hamilton was living out the Five of Wands card's meaning, caught in a maelstrom of arguments, aggression, and clashing egos. From the very start of his political career, Hamilton had been thrust into a cauldron of conflict. Born out of wedlock in the Caribbean, he had risen from obscurity through sheer force of will, clawing his way to the top of American society. But his rise was not without its challenges. He had to prove himself constantly, fighting against the prejudice of his birth and the enmity of those who viewed him as an outsider. In the early days of the American Revolution, Hamilton served as an aide to General George Washington, where he quickly made a name for himself as a brilliant strategist and a fearless leader. But even then, he was not immune to the infighting that plagued the Continental Army. He often found himself at odds with other officers, his ideas clashing with theirs as they debated the best course of action. It was during this time that Hamilton first experienced the true meaning of the Five of Wands. The card's chaotic energy mirrored the tumultuous environment in which he operated, a world where alliances were fragile and tempers flared at the slightest provocation. Yet, Hamilton thrived in this environment, his sharp mind and quick wit allowing him to navigate the complexities of war and politics with ease. After the war, Hamilton's conflict-driven journey continued as he became a key figure in the creation of the United States Constitution. The drafting of the Constitution was a battle in itself, with delegates from the 13 states fiercely debating the structure and powers of the new government. Hamilton, ever the visionary, argued passionately for a strong central government, clashing with those who favored states' rights and a weaker federal system. The debates were intense, with egos clashing and tempers flaring as the delegates struggled to reach a consensus. Hamilton's ideas often put him at odds with others, particularly Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, who had very different visions for the future of the fledgling nation. The rivalry between Hamilton and Jefferson became one of the defining conflicts of the era, a battle of wits and wills that would shape the course of American history. The Five of Wands captures the essence of this period in Hamilton's life. The card's imagery of 5 figures engaged in a chaotic struggle perfectly mirrors the contentious debates that raged within the Constitutional Convention. Hamilton was at the center of this struggle, his voice one among many, each fighting to assert their vision for the nation. The tension and competition were palpable, with each side vying for dominance, yet the outcome was far from certain. As the new government took shape, Hamilton found himself embroiled in yet another conflict, the birth of America's first political parties. Hamilton's Federalist Party, which advocated for a strong central government and a robust financial system, clashed head-on with Jefferson's Democratic-Republican Party, which championed states' rights and agrarian values. The rivalry between Hamilton and Jefferson grew increasingly bitter, with both men rallying their supporters and attacking each other's policies. The newspapers of the day were filled with scathing editorials, each side accusing the other of undermining the principles of the Revolution. The political landscape became a battlefield, with Hamilton and Jefferson as the leading generals, each determined to outmaneuver the other. Here, too, the Five of Wands looms large. The card's theme of rivalry and competition is reflected in the fierce partisanship that characterized this period. Hamilton was no stranger to conflict, and he threw himself into the fray with characteristic vigor, his pen as sharp as any sword. The political arena became a place of constant tension, with each party seeking to assert its dominance and discredit its rivals. The conflicts in Hamilton's life reached a tragic climax in 1804, when his long-standing rivalry with Aaron Burr culminated in a fatal duel. The animosity between Hamilton and Burr had simmered for years, fueled by political competition and personal slights. The tension between them finally boiled over when Burr, feeling insulted by remarks Hamilton had made, challenged him to a duel. The duel was the ultimate expression of the Five of Wands energy, an event born of aggression, tension, and the clash of egos. On the morning of July 11, 1804, the two men met on the dueling grounds in Weehawken, New Jersey. As they faced each other, pistols in hand, the weight of their years of conflict hung heavy in the air. Hamilton fired his shot into the air, perhaps intending to throw away his shot as an act of moral defiance, but Burr, feeling the full force of his anger and resentment, fired directly at Hamilton. The bullet struck Hamilton in the abdomen, mortally wounding him. He died the next day, his life cut short by the very conflicts that had defined it. In the end, Alexander Hamilton's life was a testament to the meaning of the Five of Wands. His journey was marked by conflict and competition, by fierce rivalries, and the relentless pursuit of his vision for America. He was a man who thrived in the midst of chaos, who rose to power through his ability to navigate the turbulent waters of politics and war. Yet, the very qualities that propelled him to greatness also led to his downfall. The conflicts that he engaged in, the battles he fought, both literal and metaphorical, ultimately consumed him. But even in death, Hamilton's legacy endured, his ideas continuing to shape the nation he helped to build. The Five of Wands reminds us that conflict is an inevitable part of life, that the struggle for power and the clash of ideas can lead to both creation and destruction. Alexander Hamilton's life, with all its triumphs and tragedies, serves as a powerful reflection of this truth.